Hi, tarot friends. It's Jade here. It's been a little while since I've been here on YouTube doing a video, and it's because things have been a little bit crazy lately. I have a couple of family members who are in critical condition for completely separate reasons and in different countries, actually. One had a massive heart attack, and the other one fell off a cliff. Saving his son and mine, and breaking half of his body in the process. So I'm waiting to find out what's happening on the surgery there. The accident was a few days ago, but they couldn't, the hospital couldn't do the surgeries right away for a number of reasons. Mainly it was because they needed to get him stabilized and some of his body functions. Anyways, I have not had a chance to do anything tarot related, never mind videos. But I'm really excited today. This is a video response to Rochelle at Amethyst Ascension. A couple of weeks ago, maybe, in one of her craft corners, Rochelle did a video on making your own tarot wraps. And I thought it was a fabulous idea. And I was very excited for a number of reasons. One is that I like to do my readings on a tarot cloth. I only have this one here that you see and another crocheted one. Both of which I made myself. And I, for a number of reasons, I'm always so terrified about the cards getting damaged. You never know if there's something sticky on the table. I have kids, so who knows? Or if there's a little bit of condensation on the table. I just want to protect them. So that serves as that protection during the readings themselves, and in between readings it also serves as protection. And I'll show you just how big these are, but it does serve as protection for the deck as well in between the readings, and they look very, very, very pretty on the shelf. You can go crazy with the type of fabric that you get, the size that you make them. I'll see if I can link Rochelle's video down below. And in the meantime, you may want to grab a glass of tea. I have my mint tea here in my M&M's mug. This is one piece of me. And, or other beverage. I'm not picky. Choose what you would like. And strap in, because this may be a bit of a long video. I may have mentioned before that I have a bit of an obsessive personality, so when I like something, I tend to go a little bit overboard. And yes, I know that I do this, but sometimes that still doesn't stop me. So, I'm not hurting anybody by doing this, so we'll deal. Okay, so. Let's start first of all with how I protect my decks until now. So my very first tarot deck, I made this little cozy for it. So I've shown this before, but I hand knit this for my first tarot deck, which was the Tarot de la Nuit, and I love it. It protects. It's nice and thick. It's pretty. It gives me good feelings when I look at it. This was a remnant. This yarn was a remnant from another project for someone that I cared about very much, and so it gives me good feelings when I think about it. I will not be replacing that deck. That cozy for that deck, because the other advantage of it and of making it myself for a specific deck is that, I know exactly what deck is in it. So at a glance, without having to open it. This one here is another one that I made. It is slightly different. I didn't use buttons this time. And this one is for my Gilded Tarot. Again, because it has I don't know why, but to me, it just seemed like it had a kind of a fiery feel, which is why I edged that deck in orange. And then I had these this yarn, which was remnants from another project, and I like it very much. So again, I won't be replacing that because I know instantly what this is for, and I know my deck is protected. The cards aren't going to go anywhere, they're not going to get damaged, and that's that. Okay, I've shown these ones before as well. I'm just going through these quickly because I have shown these and talked about these before, but I don't like the feel of these very much. When I first started to learn to knit back in 2013 or so, I was working through a workbook where it teaches you how to make, you basically made squares. So they're maybe 10 inch by 10 inch squares, and practiced, the different cable patterns, different stitch patterns. And I thought that I had thrown them out, but a while ago I was clearing out some storage and I found them, and I don't like to throw things out. I like to reuse and reduce as much as possible. So I experimented and it worked pretty well. I basically seamed up two sides, did an okay seaming job there, and used them for my tarot decks. So this one here is for my tattoo tarot. Oh, sorry about that. My tattoo tarot, which I like very much. They are large cards. And then this one here is, I sewed up slightly differently. I did the same, actually a different type of seam on the back. I don't like it as much because it's more visible than I would like. And I also did this slightly differently. Not sure why. I don't like it as much either. Kind of looks like an envelope, but it just has like a big bulge down here because the cable is so big. Anyway, all that aside, this is just cheap Red Heart acrylic yarn that I had bought because, like a lot of people who are learning to knit, have this idea that we should use cheap materials or cheap yarn just in case you don't like knitting, and then you wouldn't have put a big investment in. To which, anyone who is experienced or more experienced as I am now, working with crappy materials really, can give you pretty crappy results, but also the feel of acrylic is not my favorite. Anyway, this is my Dame Darcy deck, which I have shown before. Okay, I've shown this one before as well. I had a video actually on reusing old discarded clothing that would otherwise go in the garbage. This was a pair of shorts that actually had split on me. The material is very thin, and anyway, you can see this is the pocket. But I like this one very much. It, I don't know, I just like how it goes with my Nicoletta Ciccoli deck. This deck has been living in my purse, and I probably would, actually I didn't have it because I forgot it was there actually when I was doing the wraps. I probably would have made a wrap for this one as well, but I didn't because, when I forgot it was there. I may make one for this, we'll see. But if I do, I will probably still keep the cards in this, inside the wrap. So anyway, we will put that over there. Okay, so let's talk about my tarot wraps. So the first one here, I kind of had this on a little bit earlier. This is for my Deviant Moon tarot, and I don't remember what order I did these in, so they're just, I don't know. But I'll talk about a few tips and tricks, I guess, that I figured out as I was going through. I used a number of different types of ribbon. It's just some ribbons I had on hand, some I bought, some came with the fabric that I bought, and so I reused them, at least in part. And I originally had, the first ones I did, I only had enough fabric to sort of wrap once around the whole piece. But then I watched Science to Soul Tarot, and she had these beautiful big ribbons, and I really enjoyed those. So I started making them with much longer ribbons. One of the tips and tricks that I can share, that I would like to share, is that when I first did these, very quickly, like within a day, I would say, of just being, moved around and stacked on top of each other, the ribbons started to fray. The edges of the ribbons, the ends that were cut, started to fray. And let's see if I can focus on here. Okay, I don't know if that's working very well, but we'll see. Okay. And this is a little tip that I had learned from my father way many years ago, which was that you basically just take the exposed end of the ribbon and just run it very close to a candle. Not to burn it, but as you get close to the candle, you don't touch the flame, but you get close to it, and the heat will lightly melt the edge, and it just prevents it from fraying. You can see here actually that I didn't do the whole thing. I'm sorry if you can hear my dog. This is not fraying. This is just a piece that was melted. I may have to stop for a second and let my dog back in. Oh, Bobo. Anyway, so I'm not going to show all of these because we'll be here forever, but I just wanted to talk about some of the changes that I had made. So in Rochelle's video, she shows you everything actually from start to finish. And this is my Deviant Moon deck. It pretty much starts with, ironing the fabric. I found that was very important, the hard way on one. Because after I made a few, I started getting a little bit lazy. It was late at night, and I thought, I don't need to iron it. I'll just put it together and just smooth it out as I go before I pin it. Well, that didn't work out so well. So I do recommend ironing it before you pin the fabrics together, and then you'll do it again at the end. But so for this particular deck, I used this pretty fabric, and then I have a bunch of these actually, just different colors, but I like that they're not super uniform. They kind of look stained. And so you can use any fabric you want, any ribbon you want, make them whatever size you want. So that was what I was going to talk about, was Rochelle's video. After you iron it, and then you measure how big you want the fabric. You decide how big you want the fabric, and you can measure it. So for example, here's the deck here. You could just decide, okay, I'm just going to wrap it once, and that's it, and just have a sort of a narrow strip. You can make it as big or as small as you want. I prefer the bigger fabrics, just to give me the most flexibility on the tarot spreads that I'm using, but also because it provides more coverage and more safety for my decks. Am I paranoid? Yes, I am. But I have had the experiences, I guess, that have sort of reinforced that paranoia. So I made them a little bit bigger. So I started off actually measuring and sort of wrapping them a couple of times. I'm not going to retie the bow right now because I can't do that from behind a camera. I'm not that coordinated. I'll redo the bows after. So I started off measuring, and I think I was making them, 16 by 18 inches or something very similar to what Rochelle had shown in her video. But what I found was that, I don't know, it was a lot of work. I'm not the best sewer, okay? Or sewist. And I found it was a lot of work. It was taking a lot of time for me to iron them and then measure everything and then make sure that both, sometimes I would accidentally mismeasure, and then one fabric would be slightly bigger than the other, or, even if I thought I had done a good job on measuring, sometimes they just didn't match up at the end when I went to go pin them together. Then I also decided, because I like to have the bigger fabrics, and these were all fat quarters the majority were fat quarters, I decided, you know what, rather than cut off a couple of inches of fabric on each side and spend that time, why didn't I just maximize the amount of fabric that I use? So essentially what I did was I would take the fabric, both fabrics, I'd put them back to back, right? So that the right sides were facing each other. And I arranged them so that the two fabrics matched as much as possible, so that I can, with the seam allowance, I can maximize the amount of fabric that I was getting out of the usable fabric that I was getting out of the quarter, the fat quarter. So I started doing that, and then things went a little bit quicker. So some of these are a little bit larger than probably most people would like, but I like them. So you do what feels right for me. That felt right for me. Okay, so that is one. Strap in, because we have a few. Here's another one. I was using this deck earlier, actually, which is why the bow is not tied. Pretty bow. This is my Taro Muha, and this is the fabric that I used for both sides. I thought it was very pretty. Okay, my next one is this one here. I found this fabric at Walmart. I really like it, and then I used the same sort of tea-stained look sort of fabric on the inside, just in a color that matched the blue on the lemon side. The reason I have two ribbons here, well, I just thought they looked pretty together, but this yellow ribbon actually came wrapped around the fabric, so I thought, why not? I'll use them both, and so that's what I've done there. So that's number 3. Here's another one. This is Bicycles, and I used beautiful pink ribbon, and again a tea-stained sort of pink. It is slightly different than the other one. Okay, I have this one, and I just I thought I would use a fun little ribbon that I had, yeah, because why not? And then with a matching light blue on the inside. And here's my next one. I believe this is my Mystic Fairies Oracle. I really love that fabric. And this actually, you can see here, this is the one where I failed to iron the fabric beforehand, and so it came out a little bit wrinkled along the edge. Not badly enough for me to rip it all apart, but in any case. All right. And then I have this one. So you can see here the fabric is quite large. There's quite a bit. The the deck is not that big. With so beautiful little purple flowers with green stems. Hopefully you can see that. And then again, that sort of stained fabric look, this time in a purple to match, and a pretty green ribbon. So I did that treatment to the edges of my ribbon everywhere. There's something I would like to show you on with regards to the ribbon, but I'll show you when I get to it. This is a fairly large deck. This is my Visconti Sforza tarot, and I used just a plain white ribbon on this one with a lovely blue on the inside. Doesn't quite match the blue flowers, but it's close enough. Hopefully this is not too bright. Okay. This one, so narrow brown ribbon and a pale blue. I didn't do the best job matching there. I should have gone for more of a grain or maybe a red, but actually this one, which deck is this? Okay. This is my Minchiari deck. By the way, I laugh every time I say Minchiate Etruria because Minchiate is actually quite a bad word in Italian. So I do laugh that an entire deck was named after something that's not fit for polite company, shall we say. This, I believe, is my Joie de Vivre deck, and I can tell because of the fleur-de-lis. And so purple ribbon and purple on the second side. Okay. Another one. So blue ribbon, this blue flowers, and then on the inside is another, I guess light blue and yellow flowers. I forget what deck that is. I'm not going to open them all because, like I said, we would be here forever. This is just another little fun one. And where I used, again, like just a fun ribbon. Tweet. And little, hedgehogs and foxes and squirrels kind of thing. And I used a purple fabric on that one. Here's another one. I think this is one of the first ones I did, actually. I can tell because the ribbon is fairly short. You can see it's only gone around once. And I used this. Actually came, believe it or not, I bought this fabric. It's kind of a canvasy type fabric, and I've purchased it in a roll at the dollar store, like the Dollarama, a couple of years ago. They had some fun different colors. Actually, this as well was the same. I purchased it at the same time. And at the time, I made a couple of project bags for my knitting projects in it. But anyway, so I used that on that side, and then this fun green leafy pattern. You'll see this fabric actually repeated in some of these. And I'm going to pause to go let my dog out, dog in. Okay, so my beau decided he had enough of being outside. Okay, I did a very bad job wrapping this, and I'll redo it. So here is yet another one. I lost count actually, but I used this pretty fabric and then another floral pattern on the inside. Okay. Here's another one. This is one of the larger ones as well. Larger wraps. I don't know why I keep writing that word. Anyways, so we have this pattern on one side and pretty purple flowers on the other side with some green. And again, I use the double ribbon on this one just because. All right. Have this one here with the Eiffel Tower and blue. It's pretty. Pretty. And no, we're not done. Okay. This one here is my Next World Tarot. You can tell from the size. This is not just the wrap. This is actually the deck is that big. So pretty purple flowers and just that tea stained or that stained pink fabric on the other side. That was very pretty. I really adore that deck, by the way. Okay, so this one here, this is some very old fabric that I had. I've made numerous project bags and things out of this fabric. I still have a little bit left. It's like the roll that never ends. And the same green fabric that I showed earlier. And the same Tweety birds. This one, I love this one actually. I love this combination. Blue ribbon with this yellow and green sort of idea, and then this pretty blue on the inside. What deck is that actually? This is my, yeah, I thought so. Ancient Italian. Okay, I will fold that back up. Oh, sorry. I'll fold that back up again later. I don't know if I showed this one. I don't think I did. This one is a little bit larger. You can see again, there's quite a bit of extra fabric. I didn't do a good job folding this one. Sorry. I will fix this, but I sort of run out of time. Okay, so lavender ribbon, beautiful flowers, and just another a larger floral pattern on the other side. I'm not usually really a huge flower person, believe it or not, contrary to what it might seem like. But I just really enjoyed those fabrics. Okay, here's another one with that same fabric I showed you earlier. And on the other side is, again, the same green fabric that I also showed earlier in a couple of other ones. And this time with an orange ribbon. The other one had more of pinky brown ribbon. Okay, I also really like lemons. So I showed you one lemon pattern earlier. Here's another one. This one, I think this one's my Fountain Tarot. Anyway, so the blue sort of stained fabric, and this time a black ribbon. Actually, this is actually, I wanted to show what I did. So this one here is black ribbon and with red fabric. If you can see it does have a slight pattern. Hopefully that's coming up. And then purple on the inside. So this is my zombie tarot deck. And how do I remember? I guess after a while of using the same one, provided you don't swap the tarot wraps around, you'll recognize which tarot decks are in which with which tarot wrap. However, I tried an experiment on this one, and I used my, oh my gosh, is that showing up? Let's see here. There we go. My sewing machine has an embroidery setting, and you can do letters. And so I tried this out. This is just another thinner red ribbon. Obviously you can see I didn't do a super good job of sewing it back on. Again, this was just an experiment, and I'll probably replace it. But I thought, how am I going to tell, at first anyway, which decks are in which? And I may try this. I don't know. It didn't work. I tried a number of them, and this one was the best one. But you can see it's part of the reason why it's not on there quite well is because when you do the letters or the embroidery on ribbon, or at least this ribbon, it really crunches up, and the fabric curls and jumps again. And I was actually, when I was doing this, I was having the issues with my the timing being off on my sewing machine. I ended up actually breaking a couple of needles because of it. And so actually I'm going to try it again now that I've fixed that problem, and hopefully that will be fixed. But then I can do that on some of my other ones. So just just one little tweak that I made. Okay, another one I have. I told you this would be long, guys. Okay, so another one I have has the same. You can see the same Tweety birds. And this time I put that stained blue fabric on the outside, and on the inside is, so if I can show it properly, is just this gray fabric that looks like it has a darker gray writing on it. Hopefully that comes out. Anyways, I thought it was very pretty. I like it. Okay. Different ribbon this time. This time it's a big, beautiful purple ribbon. You can see actually how it's had started to fray. This one was particularly bad on the fraying department, and it's not going to fray anymore, actually. Before, if I just did that, half of it would come apart. But the edges are slightly melted. You can't really tell. And I just didn't cut off this piece actually because I wanted to show you. So that's pretty good. And then we've got this purple stained fabric again. And on the inside is little bunny rabbits. You can really use any type of fabric. Whatever floats your boat. This little grid sort of fabric with the same ribbon, similar ribbon to what you've seen before, and then same stained, just different color, solid. I like to have, where possible, I tried to put a pattern on one side and more of a solid on the other side, just because, sometimes depending on what's going on in the reading that you're going, or the spread that you're doing, you may not want a very busy pattern on the side that you're laying the cards on, depending on the deck as well. And so this gives me the option of which to use. I didn't, there are some decks that I've used that have a pattern on both sides, but that's more the exception. As you've seen, we've beautiful gray with the pink polka dots, a red ribbon, and a matching pink. Guess it's not matching 100%. It's pretty close though. All right, and I'll come to 2 other similar fabrics that I did. So one is this one here with, again, same one. I didn't want to buy 50 rolls of ribbon, guys. I just don't have that. I don't have that much space for everything, and I will probably not use them again. So I reused where I could, and I thought this matched okay, well enough. Here's another one. You've not seen this one before. This fabric before, so let's just open it up a little bit. This is more flowers. This is actually very similar to this, except that it's just white flowers with a sort of a greeny gray stem and other flowers. And again, that was just another roll. I had bought 3 rolls at that time. It was a roll of fabric for $1 or something, and it is they're quite large rolls. Actually, I was kind of shocked. I mean, obviously it's not the best quality fabric, but it's okay. Here's another. I like the fun owly ribbons, and that same fabric again, because I really wanted to use it up. It's quite old, and then just a fairly plain, simple pink and white fabric on the inside. I did a bad job folding that. I'm gonna have to redo that. And last 2 is lemons again. I told you I like lemons. Nice blue, shiny blue ribbon, and blue on the inside to match the outside. Really love that one. I love those lemons. And last but not least is this one here, which has this brown, beautiful pink, green polka dot ribbon and pink on the inside. And that is it. Sorry, this was such a long video, but those are all the wraps that I've made. I did warn you that I went a little bit overboard, right? And I want to thank Rochelle for introducing me to this. I thought it was a lot of fun, and even with the sewing machine issues I was having. But I really enjoyed doing this. I love that my decks are more protected than they were before. And I knew that was in here. This is my Soprafino deck. And thank you so much again for showing us the video, Rochelle, and teaching us how to do this, and for all of you for watching. If you like this video, then please feel free to hit that like and subscribe button. If you have any questions about anything, give me a call. Give me a call. Send me a note below. And I will try to answer them, answer any questions, or or you can always refer to the expert on this, the person who first put these videos up, or this video up, this technique, which was Rochelle at Amethyst Ascension. And I see myself doing more of this kind of thing. I don't know. I could sew other pouches, I guess, right? that are more like actual pouch-like the ones I knitted, but sew them instead. I could do that, but for now, I think I'm probably good. I really like having the ability to just bring, this one little pouch with me, put it in my bag, not have to bring a separate, not to have this in a separate compartment and then bring a separate cloth. I could just grab and go. I enjoy that very much. I love that how pretty they are. Right now they are all in, cringe, but they're all in a backpack because I'm still working on moving my kids. It's been a bit of a slow process with everything that's been going on. Well, they're all moved now, but I'm now reorganizing the one bedroom that is now free, that will become another office, study, that kind of thing. And that's where all of my knitting and my tarot decks will go. And so until I have that repainted and my space set up, right now they're all in a backpack. So I apologize that some of them don't look as pretty as they did when I first wrapped them up, because they've been shoved in a bag. The one thing to remember about these things is that the fabric gets very wrinkled. At least the fabric that I've used has been getting very wrinkled. I probably could fix that, or I could have fixed that by either doing what Rochelle had mentioned, which was in between the two fabrics to put a layer of felt. That would certainly help. Or what I would do for bags, such as this one, is actually to put an interfacing, because there's this one here. Let me see. This one here has two fabrics, right? So this one on the outside, this one on the inside. That's my knitting. And it does have interfacing on the inside just to give it a little bit more stability. And that works out really well as well. The kind that I have, you just iron on to that fabric. Since you have to iron the fabric anyway before you start, that could be a good option for you. I just get it in big rolls, and it lasts for quite a long time. But I absolutely adore how these things look when they're all stacked up on a shelf. And I would obviously before I put these on, or as I put them on, I'm going to be color coding them. It's just me, I guess, to make sure that I'm putting the ones together that actually look good together. But there you have it. So thank you so much if you're still here after all this time, thank you so much for spending your time with me. I really appreciate it. I hope the volume is good. I've been trying to figure out the video quality issue where you had black bars on each side. I'm not sure how successful I have been. I think I fixed it a little bit, but I'm going to have to figure out a different solution. I think we'll see. It seems to be fairly inconsistent, and it only happens actually when I upload to YouTube. It looks fine when I'm watching the video before uploading, but then YouTube reduces the video quality. I'm not sure why that is, but that is that. So thank you so much for being here, and I will see you again in my next video, which hopefully won't be too long. Again, it's Jade at Tarot Your Truth, closing out. And until next time, my friends, Tarot Your Truth.